This is the calligraphy unit. You guys should have received your pen. We're going to talk about the pen first, just so you kind of understand what is going on with it. If you hold your pen straight up just like this, what I would like you guys to do is have this gold or brass part facing towards your face. As you're looking at it, you're going to notice the very top of the pen is not straight across. It is going down to the right. Now, if you're left-handed, we should have given you a pen that goes down to the left. This subtle angle is what helps us with the tips of all of the different letters or exercise that you're going to do, but it creates that 45-degree angle. So, it is very important that you make sure that you have the correct tip. You'll also see, some of you can see it if it's a newer tip, if it's an older tip. You may not be able to read it because of the ink. Now you may think to yourself, oh, it's an older pen, it's not going to do as well. No, actually older pens, I prefer older pens because they're well greased. They have, basically the slots are perfectly aligned. The ink's going to flow through really, really nice for you. New pens, sometimes the ink flows a little fast. So what I would like you guys to do, I would like you to take your finger just like this, and notice how the brass part is on this side for me. I want you to press just slightly like this. If you notice, when you press, there are 3 prongs. Don't press too hard, but just press slightly. Those 3 prongs separate. The ink will be pooling in between the 2 metal parts. When you press on the piece of paper, that metal separates and allows the ink to flow through the pen and onto your paper. So, when you are actually writing, how you actually hold this correctly, you are going to make sure that the gold part or brass part is facing up. So make sure, I want everyone to put their pen on the table or paper right now and make sure that gold part is up. Notice my hand. It is not straight up like this. It is not super flat. It's at a nice angle, 35-degree angle. Also, I'm going to talk about this here in a second. You want to make sure you are not moving your arm like this when you are writing. You are going to try and keep a 45-degree angle to your body. If your pen is pointed straight at you, it's wrong. If it's pointed straight to the side, it's wrong. Here's a little clip to hopefully help you see this a little bit closer, a little more dramatic angle with using a ruler. I'm going to show you guys how to hold your pen using this ruler as an enlarged version of your calligraphy pen. You'll notice that it is flat. When I lay it onto the paper, notice the 45-degree angle to the parallel lines. It is at a 45-degree angle. So when you hold that, you want to put it right there on the line. You never want to move your pen. You never want to go like this. You never want to have your pencil pointing down straight at you. If it's pointing down straight at you, you're not holding it right. So what I would like you to do is, on your little exercise sheet, I want you to just place your pen on the very edge, just like that. Line that pen up. If you line it up correctly, you know you're at a roughly 35 to 45-degree angle of your pen compared to the overall paper. You always want to keep that. You don't want this turning, or else you're not going to get your bold lines, you're not going to get your very sharp ends. So be aware of that. As well as when you start to pull, when you're pulling down, you want to always try to imagine where you're going to end. For instance, I am, for this straight line, touching the top, ending the very tip at the bottom. So you're going to try and pull. When you go like this, here's a big common mistake as you're pulling. You're always pulling to the right and pulling down, but as you're pulling to the right, a lot of people do this. They pull and they change the angle of their pen. We do not want that. When you pull, you keep that same angle. It goes straight across. There is a tendency to, when you're pulling, you act like you go at a different angle and you kind of go slightly down. No, just lessen or loosen your grip a little bit. You don't have to hold on as tight. Just pull straight across. It's going to take a little practice, but you'll get it. Again, 45-degree angle to the paper. If it's pointing straight at you, it's wrong. If it's pointing straight to the side, it's wrong. 45-degree angle. Now that you guys have seen that, how are you going to dip this into the ink? What's going to happen? You guys are going to receive an ink bottle. 2 ink bottles per table. It's very important that you only have 4 people per table. As well as at this moment, when you guys come into the art room and start this, there needs to be nothing on your table. You need to take off all books, all computers. We've had a few instances where people have put their books or computer on the table. They did not see this ink bottle. They went to slide their books over. They tipped over the entire ink bottle all over the table, all over someone's clothes. We've had that happen a couple times. I don't want that to happen. So everything needs to be off the table when you guys get out the calligraphy ink. When you do this, you unscrew the cap. This is an eyedropper, so be aware. Please don't squeeze this, get a ton of ink in, and then it drips everywhere. You will also need, every single time you do calligraphy, you need 2 pieces of towels. So you'll always, always, always keep your ink on one of the towels. The other towel sometimes you use to pull off ink from the pen, which we'll talk about here in a second. When you unscrew this lid, please, 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 lay it on the paper towel. We have had where someone laid it right on the edge of the table. They went to move and it rolled around and fell right on their lap and ruined their clothes. This is India ink. It will stain permanently. You cannot get this ink out of clothes, so be aware of that. We also, Mr. Knight or I will show you where the paint shirts are at. The paint shirts you can put on the whole time. It's totally up to you if you want to do that. Some classes everyone does it, some classes no one does it. It's totally up to you, but be aware this ink will stain. When you dip this pen in, by the way, you will see a little engraving on the gold part. It says C-2. That is the size of the pen, the size of the flat part on top. Now, when it goes bigger, the number goes down. So the fattest tip would be a C-0. If you want something really, really small, it would be a C-4, C-5. So it's just telling you exactly the size of the top there. You can't go smaller, you can't go bigger. For our purposes, for the size of paper that we have in our lines, we are a C2. There may be some times when you do a quote and you want to go smaller because you have a lot of words. I have C3 pen tips, which you'll have to get a different line sheet. The lines are a lot smaller. It'll be important that you stay within those lines. When you dip this pen in, you're going to have to test it. You don't know how far that ink is down. So you might have to go in and out just a little bit, just to test. Where is it going to be? Now, when I have this pen dipped properly, there is ink pooling in between the 2 metal parts. If you notice how far I went down, I'm going to tell you, you probably want to not go fully past the C on your pen. If you look at the side of it, that gray or silver part is curved. Where it becomes straight, you probably don't want to go past that. So don't just dunk your pen in, or else you're just going to have ink everywhere, and it's going to ruin everything. So when you dip your pen in, always, always, always pull off the extra ink on the bottom. Again, my gold plate is on top, but pull that ink off. I always, always, always have a separate piece of paper or a paper towel, and I do what I like to call chicken scratches. I like to test how much ink is actually on that pen. So you'll notice that I'm always pulling, testing, pulling, trying to get this inked up. This is a new quill, so it's going to take a little bit to get the ink flowing correctly through there. All right, so I have that. These are chicken scratches. Get used to doing this every single time that you pull this pen out of that ink bottle. It could be there, it could be on the top of here for your practice sheets. So I'm going to pull that out. You'll notice the first time you do it, sometimes there's a ton of ink in there. You don't want a ton of ink in your pen, or else when you pull that line down, it's just going to fully saturate the paper. So be aware of that. Next, we're going to show you how to do the exercises. Here's what you're going to do for your exercise. As you look at your lettering exercises, you are going to notice that at the bottom left is a number. That is a set. what you're going to notice at the top of each one, it'll tell you how many lines you're actually going to do that exercise for. So for number 1, I'm going to do 3 full lines of just straight up and down. The second one, I'm going to do another 3 full lines of little short snippets going horizontally. So for instance, here's how I'm going to work. I'm going to dip my pen in the ink, test the height of it, wipe it off. Chicken scratch to make sure I don't have too much or too little. Then what I'm going to do is start. Notice the angle of my pen to the paper. It is at a 45-degree angle. I'm starting at the very top and I'm pulling straight down. Notice my ink already ran out. It's a new pen, so I have to work a little bit faster. I'm going to pull straight down. Notice how my pen is not changing the angle. This pen tip is really new. So pull straight down all the way to the bottom. There we go. Now the ink is flowing. Notice how my top and bottom are touching. Notice how my pen also is not rotating whatsoever. My hand is locked. Now I'm going to do this a lot faster than you are going to do this because I've done this for many years. But I'm not rotating my hand. I'm not straight up and down. I'm not pointing the pen towards myself. As well as watch, the gold plate or the bronze plate is pointed up towards your face. So you'll do this for 3 full lines. Then you'll come down here for the horizontal lines, and I'll just show you on the next line below. You're going to do 3 full lines of horizontal pulls. Notice again, my pen is at a 45-degree angle. I'm pulling straight across. Straight across. Ran out of ink. Chicken scratch. Pull straight across. I'm not going the whole line, but I'm only doing about 3 segments per height. So there we go. I'm pulling straight across. There's a tendency to do this, where you pull and then all of a sudden your pen is going completely horizontal to the paper. This is incorrect. You have a flat angle. Always try and get that angle. I have suggested this for certain students that have trouble with this, is if you're starting these lines and you want to get that angle, you can create almost this thin little line and then pull down and then create a thin little line at the bottom. If that helps you understand the angle and make sure you keep that angle, do that. This is all about practice. It's not about being correct right away. It's about getting out the kinks, trying to work your muscles in your hand. Again, for the horizontal, you can get that angle, pull across, end with it. Get that little angle, pull across, end with that angle. If that helps you, do that. If you don't want to, that is okay. When it is time to clean up, what you want to do is always make sure you are screwing the lid back on first before you even leave the table. Then what you'll do, take the pen over to the sink. You'll just get a little water, rinse it underneath the running water, and then you'll dry it. When you dry it, please do not try to shove a paper towel in between the 2 metal parts. The paper will get stuck in the little slots, as well as it'll push the 2 metal pieces away from each other. It won't hold ink and you'll break the tip. So be aware of that. Just pull like this when you're drying that pen.